So I think that's very important to know what I'm not good at and what I'm good at in building that team that so that way with all together can really go in a good direction, especially for women and me in construction. Um, I think people always thought that I was really good at everything in construction. I'm like, I'm not. I don't have all the answers, but I do have people that know the answers. So I think that that's the very important thing.
You just heard from the founder and president of INTEC Group, Ines Rivas-Hutchins of Paducah. I'm Todd Faulkner, and welcome to Leadership Magnified. This week, Ines explains why building a team around you helps the entire company succeed, the role mentors played in her life as she worked to found her own company, and why managing people is so important in her leadership style. Here's my conversation. So, first of all, welcome. And let's just jump in. You're the founder and you're president of INTEC Group. For people who may not be familiar with what that is, what is INTEC Group?
Sure, thanks for having me. INTEC is a federal contracting company. So, just like a general contractor, but our main customer is the federal government. Department of War is our number one. That's still really hard for me to say. I always say DoD, Department of Defense. U.S. Army is our number one customer. Fort Campbell is the hub for us. We've been there for now 11 years. And we have what we do is we bid on multiple award contracts. Those are usually 5-year long contracts. So we're on the third iteration of one of those contracts. And it allows us to work at Fort Campbell in many, many different projects. We sometimes will be working back in the ranges, for example, the training ranges where the soldiers will do their training before combat, or we will do the playgrounds at the elementary schools, for example, and we do regular admin buildings, barracks, and all in between. So it's a really diverse set of projects and different things that we do.
So how did this company come about? I mean, I'm sure there's a long story, but what's the Reader's Digest version for the inspiration for INTEC Group?
Sure. So I studied architecture. That was my background. When I moved to the United States, I lived in Florida. I was working in residential, commercial, and then some industrial. 2008 happened, economic downturn. Florida basically stopped building. And I was like, oh, it's actually the one time in my life I've been without a job. What am I going to do? So I started applying to all different projects, different jobs. I applied in Nashville back then. Well, I don't think Nashville's ever stopped growing or
Right.
building, right? But I do remember visiting and I applied to a job with the Tennessee Board of Regents. And then there was a job that one of my headhunters told me about. It was Vanguard Contractors in Paducah, Kentucky. I didn't even know where this was. So in the same trip, I interviewed for the Tennessee Board of Regents and I interviewed for Vanguard Contractors. Craig Guest used to be the CEO of Vanguard. And I love when I visited Paducah, I thought it was a great place for me to move with my son. I was a single mom. Sebastian, my oldest, he was 3. And I thought this is a good place for us to kind of put some roots in. And I work at Vanguard, and that's what they did. They were a federal contractor. So that is where I learned everything about federal contracting. And after a few years, I got poached by a different contractor that hired me. And after that opportunity is where a mentor of mine put that bug in my ear and said, why don't you own your own company? You should have your own company. You're a greatly, you know the business. You're a woman. Obviously, in federal contracting, there were several programs that were advantageous to a woman. So 11 years ago, I said, okay, let's do this. And I started INTEC.
And it took off. You mentor, or you mentioned mentor. Who have been some of your mentors who have inspired you over your career?
So many,
Right.
right? I think in each stage of your life, you have different people that give you some direction. I think for me, early on, my dad was a big mentor, and I always looked up to him because he, being in Venezuela, that's where I'm from, and he grew up very poor, but he decided when he was in high school, he was going to go and study engineering, metallurgical engineering. This is back in Venezuela, you're talking like 50s. So the steel industry was booming. It was the beginning of the oil industry. So he went and studied at Purdue University, and then went back to Venezuela. But I always looked at him going away, and kind of being an adventurer in way. So I always thought that I wanted to do that. That's kind of where I think gave me a little spark to go abroad and kind of, spread my wings. And I think in business, Craig has been one of them also as a CEO of Vanguard. And then DR Sams was my one mentor that gave me the big push and said, "You can do this. You owning a business, it's about processes. I can teach you what you don't know, but you're ready." Basically. So he kind of gave me that big push to get going.
How would you describe sort of your approach to leading the company and leadership? What's your style about how you go about a project or an idea?
Yeah, that's a good question. Um, I consider myself a team leader. When I talk about the team, because I love working in teams, right? So I love to put good people working together. So the number one thing was for me was to build a team of good people that I could really kind of set a direction, but let them do the work, right? So I'm very hands off when it comes to the work because they are really good at what they do, and if they were not, then I will be finding new people. So I think that that is really the number one thing for me. I love solving problems, and I love to get people on the table and fix problems. That is really what drives me as a leader. And I guess that's why I do project management. I did project management early on in construction. I would get full table of engineers, and you got the buyer, the owner, and you got subcontractors. It's like we have to make this work, and we all have to come to terms and how to make it happen, right?
A lot of moving
On
parts.
budget and schedule, I mean, there are a lot of moving
A lot of
parts.
moving parts. What kind of 10,000-foot view, what do you see um, individuals who want to be leaders or who want a little bit more responsibility? How do you see them falter or make mistakes do they make where you see, ooh, maybe shouldn't do it that way? Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I think for once, leadership should be about the greater good or the common. If you're leading a team in a company, for example, it's not about you, it's about the company, right? It's not about how you look, but it's about how the company, the bottom line of in the group of people that you employ. Obviously, you should be looking after that. If I think what happens is a lot of people think too egocentric, and they think that just because you are a leader, it's all about you, and it shouldn't be. It should be about the team. When I think about leader, back when we were in summer camp, I always think about this is the team leader is the person in the front with a little flag, and then you follow them around, and they will let you know what to do. It's, you're going canoeing, and this group is going whatever, but you're following your leader, right? So they are setting direction. But at the end of the day, the people doing the work, it was, the kids that were in that group. The leader was just watching, right? So I think in a way, it's not about us. It's about the people that are following you.
What challenges do you think leaders face in general?
That's so good. I'm sorry.
No, you're
It's a
fine.
great question. It's just I don't think there is a single challenge because different teams are going to present different challenges. Obviously, the national kind of temperature. A lot of people are very opinionated, trying to make people work together and see things from one lens is very hard. Um, so to me, a lot of those challenges, what I do, I really take the time to ensure that people sitting at that table can see things from different perspectives. Because at the end of the day, it's not about my way, your way. It's about what is the best way for all. So I do think that it's harder now to make people work together, but I think the challenge is a good one and it's worth it.
I remember years ago, I was emceeing some chamber event, and we had small business owners up there. And one of the small business owners, who's still in business, he said when he started the business, and I'm paraphrasing, he knew what to do to have it operate, but he quickly realized that he wasn't managing a business, he was managing personalities and he was managing people. What do you think of that
100%.
opinion?
100%. It's about managing people. And I say it all the time. I know how to speak to some of my employees in a different way that I would speak to others because I know they see things differently, you know? So I do think that you have to be very in tune with your team, what their needs are, and how to make it go in the direction that you want it to go. You have to be smarter about it. It's not the hard way or my way. I think it's about what is the best way for all.
Right, and I find myself, and by no means am I perfect, but in the newsroom, I know I can talk to some people a certain way, but my approach to other people has to be a different way because they're just not going to receive the message or think something's funny or serious. And I
Mhm.
think I think leaders, if they're conscious of that, then you can
Definitely.
effectively get the message across. Broadly speaking.
Most definitely.
What are you doing to ensure that you personally continue to grow and learn new things and become a better leader, a better business owner year after year?
I do have to say that the best way for me to do that, to grow, has been meeting new people and building new relationships, stepping out of that bubble. Um, because we don't know everything. And I meet so many, this community has so many leaders, fantastic leaders that I learn from every day. So I think that's been the best way for me to really grow. And also just knowing myself, I think with maturity, knowing what I'm good at, what I'm not good at, that's very important. I always tell that to younger leaders is the probably one of the most important things to know is what you're good and what you're not good at. Because then you start surrounding your people from, from the right people. The people, if you're not very good at something, then that's the people that you want to surround yourself with. If you're a company owner like I am, for example, because that's the lens that I have, and again, you build the people to make yourself better. So I might be good at problem solving, taking charge. I love projects. I love to set a direction and go for it. I'm not great at quality control, for example. So I have a fantastic person in my office that she's the one that eyes every eye, and makes sure that everything is crossed and everything is perfect. I'm not very good at that because I go fast. So I think that's very important to know what I'm not good at and what I'm good at. In building that team that so that way with all together can really go in a good direction, especially for women and me in construction. um, I think people always thought that I was really good at everything in construction. I'm like, I'm not. I don't have all the answers, but I do have people that know the answers. So I think that that's the very important thing.
Do you ever just sort of reflect, and this is the last question before we just end the podcast, but do you ever reflect on your accomplishments? I mean, I was looking up because I can remember years ago, yeah, I think I've got this right. 2020, you were Entrepreneur of the Year, Paducah Chamber. 2025, Female Founders 500 list. The year before, 5,000 list of America's fastest growing private companies. That same year, Kentucky Small Business Person of the Year by the SBA. Those are a lot of incredible feathers in your cap. Do you ever reflect and say, "My gosh, I did it. I'm making my dream come true."
Oh, 100%. And I do think that momentum, it's a real world. It's a real word. It once everything starts spinning in a certain direction and a certain speed, it just only intensifies. Um, and I feel very happy not only because of me, but because of the team that I have. It's because obviously intake it is what it is because of the team that works for me. So it's great for me to get all the accomplishments, but also letting them know that this is because of you guys.
Mhm. Okay, we're gonna wrap things up, and depending on who I interview, kind of depends on my approach. And for you, I am gonna do what is my favorite way to end, and that is 10 questions based on a French journalist and interviewer's name. His name is Bernard Pivot. And so don't overthink it. Just spit it out when it
Shoot it.
comes. Okay,
Okay.
10 questions. First, what is your favorite word?
Momentum.
What is your least favorite word?
No.
What creatively, spiritually, emotionally turns you on?
Problems.
Mm. What turns you off?
Just negative people.
What's your favorite curse word if you have one?
English or Spanish?
Oh, give us the Spanish because I won't know what it is.
Coño.
Okay. See, I don't know. What sound or noise do you love?
Oh, a baby's laughter.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Too many people speaking at the same time. I'm getting older and I just can't, sometimes it's just too much for me.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
Rick Steves. So I would that's been, my dream, being a travel explorer, advisor. Love that.
He literally has traveled the globe multiple times. I love it. What profession would you not like to do?
Accounting. Something too detailed. I'm not good at that.
Okay, last question. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear from God when you arrive at the pearly gates?
I think I would just like for him to say, "I'm proud of you. You've done good."
Okay, thank you. That's it. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
And that's this week's pod. If you're enjoying the show, we'd love your help sharing it to social media. Video and sound by Senior Executive Producer Morgan Regal and Bryce Anglin. Editing by Brian Clapp. Until next week, stay safe, friends.